Hey, what's up, guys? Today I'm going to be coaching a plat nunu player. So as always, I kind of just upload these sessions when people want so that they can watch them back and learn from them. So yeah, decided to upload this one. Hopefully it's valuable for you guys. If you're interested in coaching, DM me on Discord. My Discord's Talon1169. I can try to link it in the description as well. And $15 an hour for coaching. We typically go over 2 replays. We can also go over 1 replay and 1 live game or whatever you guys want. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. I hope you enjoy.
Perfect. So do you think I should, like, I mean, even I feel like in the games I win, I feel like I still make some mistakes, so I don't want to overlook those as well. I mean, do you prefer if I show a game I won or lost, or does it matter?
It doesn't matter. Like, the thing that's important, I would want a game that represents how you lose. So even if you end up winning the game, if you feel like you lose a lot during, like, say, like, late game when your teammates do some dumb shit and you don't know what to do because of that, obviously it still has to be a game where you're not just, like, 1v9ing and your team sucks so bad that you lose. But yeah, if it's a win where your team throws and you kind of don't know what you could have done better, then we can watch one of those, whether it's a win or a loss. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Let me throw this because I feel like I did decent.
Okay.
And,
So,
can
like,
you
already,
see?
yeah, what would you,
Oh.
where do you want to path in this game? Like, what are your thoughts so far? Just looking at the matchups.
So I wanted to path kind of towards the dual lane, but at the same time, it's like it's so weird. Like sometimes how the early game goes. Sometimes the dual lane will go and just
Also, you
die.
shouldn't really, you should control word that more than regular word, most
Okay.
likely, just so you know they have vision. And then usually what you do after you control ward the opposite side of the map, you recall and you get sweeper, especially as a ganking champion. Then you can sweep as your, because once the scuttle spawning, like a little bit before the scuttle spawns, you'll have sweeper up, and then you can sweep when you're going for a gank and whatever.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, so you start here because you want to end up being, I mean, as nunu, level 3 ganking is not too bad. So like if you wanted to help dual lane, I might want to start Raptors and look for a level 3 gank, but honestly I wouldn't really want to gank Caitlyn Janna that much because most Caitlyn players in low elo will just push the wave and have prio, and then you can't really gank unless you're gonna dive. So you can't really dive until like level 5 maybe.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's something I think I got to think about more. Is like the
again, I would
matchups.
think a really bad, again, every assumption I'm making right now is that enemy is bad because it's plat, and most Aurelias, when they're bad, they just Q a lot and go forward and do dumb shit, which is exactly why I would rather path towards Aurelia. Plus I have the Pantheon stun, and you do that, and we end up getting his flash. We would have killed him if we had Snowball, which it happens. But,
yeah.
But yeah, like, this is an aggressive lane because Pantheon has stun, so he has a way to set up the gank. Aurelia's an aggressive champion, and the enemy are bad. So all of those reasons make it, you probably want to gank, like you did. So it ends up being like, yeah, the correct play. It just didn't quite work out. I don't really mind anything so far, though. We just missed snowballs, so it kind of makes it hard, but...
Right, yeah.
But
Yeah,
even there, you probably should have tried to get Scuttle before you went back for the second one. Because, like I said, a lot of these, like... A lot of the problems is just efficiency, where, again, you're wasting a lot of time fighting. Where Scuttle spawned 25 seconds ago, and we haven't taken it yet. And we have a very big clear speed advantage on Fizz. So the most important thing is getting level 5 before him and kind of outpacing him while simultaneously being able to gank as much, if not more than him, because he has worse ganks than you and clears slower, so he's going to be able to gank less. So you probably should have just stayed on the Scuttle instead of going for that second gank, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's on Scuttle now.
Yeah. And again, like, looking even here, instead of going to your red, you're just kind of wasting a little bit of time, and these seconds can matter. A lot of times they don't matter, but there's games where it could be the difference between a kill or not, so...
Got it, a little more efficient.
But yeah, again, like, we see the lane, it looks not the most gankable. You should know... Oh, you should turn off the vision real quick, by the way. Go in the top right in the 3 little, like, lines. And then click the blue one in the top. Yeah. Now we just see what you would see. But we should assume Fizz is on bot side because he ganked top when we gank top, so his camps are going to be on the same rotation as us. And obviously we see him in mid now. But yeah, I don't mind looking for a gank since they're pushed up here, and you end up probably getting 2 flashes. Oh, he dies, nice. So yeah, again, like, we clear one side of the map, we go for the gank like you did, then you go to the other side of the map, and then you go for the gank here. But the problem is, all 3 of your top side camps are up, in almost any time that I'm playing, like the jungler that I play, that's a ganking jungler that has fast clear speed is Vi, and anytime I'm playing Vi, my entire blue side has never spawned by the time I'm back to my blue side. Like, you should have probably already be on your blue side again, probably 30 seconds ago, but because we wasted so much time, now we're not up as much gold as we could be, so. And then if you did have these camps, you'd be able to look for another gank on the Aurelia, who again we said is the lane that we want to gank more because of the things we talked about before. So yeah, efficiency so far is really the main thing. Just worry less about fighting and fight after you actually get your camps on the side of the map that you're on.
Right. So the thing is, like, because I played like that, I have some games where I play just super efficient. Like, if a gank window isn't there once my camps are cleared, and like I want to maintain super
Well, even
efficient
here is the
path.
same thing, by the way. Again, we should have already farmed, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So like, I mean, if you're just farming super efficiently, and then like say I clear my whole blue side here, and there's top's not gankable. Um, if top's the one I definitely want to gank, do you recommend hanging, hovering a little more?
No, so
Um,
there's no lane. The only decision you make based on what you want to gank is your initial pathing. After that, it's only reactive to what actually is happening in the game, because you can assume that most likely Aurelia is going to be stupid and Pantheon's going to set up ganks. But if your Pantheon is so bad and Aurelia happens to be a Smurf or just happens to be playing well, then you can't actually gank that. There's nothing's going to work out. Your teammate sucks. So if you identify your teammate sucks, or the lane is pushing, and you can't gank because obviously the lane's pushing the turret and everything, you can't dive, you have to change what you're going to do. So that's why we farm our camps first and then we make the decision if we can, unless there's like a really obvious gank. Obviously you can make the decision based on certain circumstances, but 95% of the time, if there isn't an obvious play to make, then you should look for farm. And then after you look for your farm, once you have no camps up, that's when you try to camp something for a little bit or force something. Does that make sense?
got it. Yeah. So it's like a slight window when all
And
camps
then
are
here's
down.
another huge issue. One, you're nunu, so you outsmite everyone. Two, you're going for dragons, and dragon is complete horseshit in this game. Like, these are the most useless objective on planet Earth. You should never go for the first dragon. You should always go Herald unless your top laner is like mega feeding and enemy jungler is going to go there, because then you won't win the fight. But anytime that you think, like anytime you have any type of choice between the two objectives, always go Herald every single time. Because dragons give you a 3% bonus, roughly. It depends on like what it is, but you're getting 3% extra damage here, which is basically nothing. And the only time that damage actually gets boosted is if you get all 3 dragons in the game. And if you get all 3 dragons in the game, that means you won all the fights at dragon, in which case you probably already won the game. So you're never really going to get any value from this, versus if you get Herald, you get 1,000 gold most likely because you probably break a turret and you get turret plates and everything. You can probably kill the enemy laner in the place you drop it, because if you drop it topside and enemy is distracted bot side at dragon, you probably can dive the guy or kill him because the turret's about to die. Or you drop it mid, you break mid turret, it makes it easier to invade. So basically, never go for dragon unless you like have to, because there's no better option. But then if you do decide to go for Herald, which you should, you have to make sure that you're getting the second or third dragon so they don't get the dragon soul. That make sense?
Yeah. So if you go for, I mean, Herald's better early game, but you just got to deny one drag from them so they can't stack them.
Yeah, and dragons used to be better, but they changed them, so now they're just horseshit. So it's just like, yeah, you basically get a free huge gold lead every game, which is another reason why you don't have to rush things early game, is because even when I'm playing in Grandmaster in high elo lobbies, I'm still, every time they're almost always going for dragons, so I just get a free extra like 1,500 gold lead, usually more, because then I can, after I take the Herald, I drop it somewhere, I can go take their camps, because a lot of times they haven't farmed the camps on the side of Herald because they're distracted with dragon, especially in your elo, they're going to be really inefficient. You can invade, you can just get such a big gold lead, and that allows you to carry kind of for the rest of the game.
Got it.
But yeah, so far the main things are just farm our camps before we gank, unless the gank is like really obvious, where like the wave is pushing into your tower and you know that they're gonna walk up to CS because they have to, or they lose gold. Like, those are the only times where you can really go for it. Or if enemy is solo, you can dive. But if those cases aren't, if that's not the case, farm, and then we can look for the ganks after, and then prioritize Herald as much as we can.
So do you think,
sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
do you think full clearing to level 5 is like not ganking level 3 on Nunu?
No,
Is the way
on
to
Nunu
go?
I would gank level 3, because like you can just you clear pretty quick. So you can clear whatever side of the map you start on. Say you clear red side, you look for either a bot or mid gank. I prefer a mid gank because then I'm closer to top side and I can go for top side scuttle, and then into my blue side I get that quicker. But you can, whatever's, you know, looking for a better gank. You look for that gank at level 3. Do it quick though, just like run into that lane, have a snowball built up. Even if you just back them off the wave and they miss a CS, or you just get some poke on them, that's fine. You don't actually have to get the kill. It'll help your laner out. And then you can just go straight to scuttle. After you get scuttle, then you farm, and then you'll be level 5 by that time after you cleared both sides of the map. So again, on Nunu, level 5 is not so valuable that you need to like hard prioritize it, but it's still good. So we want to get it quickly, but definitely looking for level 3 gank is going to be better most of the time. And then one thing I wanted to say about when the dragon did spawn, when you decided to go to dragon, so say you were deciding to go to Herald instead, but you decided to go to dragon. So when you wanted to go to dragon, but you didn't go to the dragon until 5:40, and it spawns at 5 minutes. So there was 40 seconds where they could have taken it, and in like a better elo, they will have already taken it by then. So you were kind of indecisive on which one you wanted to go towards, and you were still busy farming even though the objective was spawning. So like the one time to kind of not worry about farming or efficiency is when there's an objective up, because obviously you're not going to spend that gold that you just farmed if they're getting the objective, unless you decide to just give them the objective for free.
Right, right.
And then also notice that if we look at the gold, you're down 8 kills and yet you're only down 2,000 gold, meaning they literally only got the value of the kills, which is 300. So that's like, you know, 300 times 8. That's basically what their gold lead was. They're not farming better than you, even though they had more time, because obviously you guys were dead a lot more. So just notice how bad their macro is, where even if you're down a ton of gold, or down a ton of kills rather, if you're just playing more efficiently, playing for gold and turrets, you're going to have a huge gold lead, and usually you can find yourself probably having like 10, 12,000 gold when everyone else in the game has like 7 or 8,000, 9,000, even if you're even kills with everyone else.
Yeah. A lot of games I find that, like if our team's not super behind too, I'm usually, it's not abnormal, at least in this like plat 4, plat 3, for me to have the most farm, even more than the ADC.
Oh, jungle should have most farm every game. Like watch most high-low games. Like if you just watch a streamer, the jungle is broken in this game, like more so than PC. Jungle is disgusting. So yeah, it has access to so much gold because of the conservation mechanic, where if you don't farm for a little bit, you get extra gold off camps. So yeah, it's a pretty broken role, honestly, overall.
Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's a little like if you look in the bottom, like the bottom middle of your screen, it's like a yellow hand, and it'll have a number that's probably anywhere from 7 to 200. That's how much gold you'll get from killing a camp.
Oh wow. So if you don't farm up for a while, it kind of gives you a little bonus gold.
Yeah. But it's still efficient to farm like it's still better to farm efficiently, because that'll stack up at the same rate. You'll just be getting it based like on, it'll be spread out across more camps, but obviously if you kill your camps, they respawn quicker, so you still want to farm efficiently. But yeah, if you look for a couple ganks and you don't farm, like say you're fighting Baron and then all your camps happen to be up, you're gonna get a ton more gold off that. So. And then even here, like, there's no reason to be here right now. You farm now, but you could have been farming for longer. At this point, okay, so if we were to rewind in the replay, we don't need to, but, and I was kind of talking, so I didn't go over it, but the problem here is the Baron was spawning in about 30 seconds when you had the decision on what to do. And when a Baron is spawning, obviously we'd rather be on that side of the map, because at this point, it's hard to be efficient, because if our teammates int, they're going to get Baron. So we have to be a little bit more careful and more on that side of the map. So what you should have done is you should have cleared your red side first, and then you would be pathing towards your blue side as the Baron is about to spawn, meaning you're on the side of the map, farming on the side of the map, while the important objective is on the same side as you're farming. Whereas now you have to go back and farm your bot side, meaning if they're good, or if your teammates randomly int, then they might end up sneaking a Baron or something like that. And even here, trying to get this kill, it's like alright, but you have 450 gold minimum. It's really more, it's probably like 500 to 600 at this point, all sitting on your bottom side, but you're chasing a kill on a fizz. And I mean, it's not the end of the world if you get the kill, but even if you get 300 gold from the kill, that's less than 450 gold from your camps, which have been sitting there for now probably 1 to 2 minutes, which is definitely too long.
Got it. Now, at what point in the game do you do you think like kind of like you were saying, like if Baron's spawning and say the red camps and blue camps are both up, but Baron's already spawned, and you got to kind of sacrifice. Like, at what point in the game do you prioritize farming?
Yeah, so
Um,
it's the Baron spawn is really the main thing. So up until Baron spawn, I want to be as strong as possible, and then once Baron is up is when I'm still going to farm it as efficiently as possible. But now if I have that feeling that my team might int, you know how you have that feeling where you see your team kind of hovering in mid or something, and they're not doing anything. There's like 5 people from both team in mid lane, and you don't know what to do because you want to farm, but you also are scared they might fight.
yeah,
When you're in the earlier parts of the game, your decision should be, those guys are fucking idiots. They're all gonna die eventually. The gold bounties are probably gonna cancel out. I'm gonna farm and get way more gold than them and then carry. But once the Baron spawns, now if your team dies there, that's going to lose you probably like 3,000 to 5,000 gold if they end up all dying and then getting Baron. So that's where you kind of change your mind, is once the Baron spawns, because now you can't afford for your team to die. But if your team dies earlier on in the game, when plates are up or something, turrets don't die that quickly. You still have a lot of gold to farm. If your team dies, they probably just get about like 1,500 to 2,000 gold, which still sucks. But if you compare it to the 500 to 1,000 gold that you're getting, it's not that bad. And that's assuming the worst case scenario that all your teammates die. Sometimes your teammates trade 2 for 2. Sometimes your team ends up winning the fight, whatever, right? So it'll all kind of cancel out in the end. So just once Baron spawns, to make it short.
okay,
And I'm also throwing a lot of information because, again, I'm recording this. I'm gonna double check my recording is still working. It is. So you can come back anytime to watch this. After we're done with this and we go over a live game, I'm gonna write down notes of like more specific things I want you to work on. So if it's all a lot right now, you can ask questions to clarify stuff. But yeah, we'll like focus on more specific things to focus on while you're playing at the end.
okay,
And at this point, I didn't really notice what happened, but it looks like your team just kind of all died. And sometimes they do this, and if your team all dies at a random point in the game, you're not going to win. You can't control, everything. Sometimes your team just sucks or makes a dumb play. You don't need to feel like you have to like overcompensate for their stupidity. Sometimes you just roll bad teammates and you have to accept that. But earlier on when we were playing, you flipped the Baron randomly 5v5, and I know Nunu has a great smite. And you missed a smite despite having a good opportunity to hit it, but I don't really love flipping games when we're even like this. I would say when you're in an even game or you're winning, don't try to flip the Baron or force it unless enemy jungle's dead or you've killed like 2 people or whatever. Only really flip the Barons when you're behind, because you're already probably going to lose if you're behind a significant amount, so you might as well at that point flip a Baron or something, because it'll obviously up your chance if you win that 50-50 smite. And Nunu has a really good smite, so.
yeah.
Does that all make sense?
Yeah, no, 100%.
Cool. Your ult usage is a little bad. I mean, I'm not really a Nunu player, but we have missed a few of them. I mean, that's more of just like something you get used to the more you play, but definitely like
Yeah.
something to pay attention to.
Got it.
Just click on your character on the bottom left if you want it to drag to your character again. And then here is when we want to invade after we just like won a big fight. Elder doesn't spawn for a minute, meaning if our team dies right now, it doesn't matter. But obviously if they start dying within 30 seconds, like say they die at 17:30, then it's a problem because Elder's spawning. But for now, I just look to invade if I can. It depends on your item spike though, because another thing is the game essentially ends at 18 minutes, barring people really sucking. So 18 minutes is when Elder spawns. Whoever wins that Elder is usually going to win. So if you say are full build by this point, stop farming. If you're 2,000 gold away from your next item, stop farming because you're not going to get it, right? But if you're like 500 gold from your next item and you have a minute till Elder, you need to be searching for 2 camps so that you can get those 2 camps back, get your item, and then win that fight, you know what I mean? So it depends on at what point in the game we're at. I don't really know your gold right now, so I can't tell, but that's how you decide whether to farm or whether to kind of hover and fight with your team. But at this point, your team dying means you lose, so you always kind of have to be now worried about that. But again, they don't prioritize Elder well, so like enemy team doesn't even know Elder's going, and it looks like you don't know Elder's spawning either, so we need to be much more aware of that. And you can use pings more too, like you should have pinged the Elder a lot if you were aware of it, which it looks like you might have done right now. So just try to use pings as much as possible, like spamming, because these people don't really know what they're doing. So if you can ever guide them, maybe they'll get mad at you, but definitely might as well.
Yeah, this spam.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty tanky, so even doing that's not like a big deal, even though you kind of got cut out. But
Yeah, like they zone off their whole back line, but it just doesn't.
yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's kind of more everything leading up to this. Like, I'm not going so much into depths on how you can play fights slightly better. If you want to learn how to play Nunu like perfectly, go look up a top 1 Nunu player. Or if you want to, you know, get better at fights, you just kind of experience it by learning and playing, because everyone kind of knows how to click buttons and everything. So it's more every decision we make up to this point, where if you were stronger, you'd probably have like an extra 2k gold. Like, I'm guessing if I'm playing this game and I knew how to play Nunu, I would have 2 to 4k more gold, meaning in this fight I have an entire extra item. I'm stronger and I'm able to win the fight better, but you still win the fight, you zone them off well. Like, you played the fight itself really well. And if we're stronger, then it's not as bad. And your team gets caught, kind of unfortunate. Maybe could have stayed with them and pinged the dragon more, because again, at this point in the game, when you're like slightly losing and it's pretty close, if you're Nunu, it's okay to try to flip this objective at this point. If your team's alive, obviously now they're dead, so now your goal is kind of just get the vision, which you did perfectly. I don't think you should have wasted smite, because your goal is to steal this, and if you don't steal this, you probably lose. And again, they're bad, so they're just like not doing anything. They finally did it, and then you recalled. So yeah, this is very bad. Because we should just be
I know
assuming...
I can't.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, I know. I just like my thought process is like, there's no way I can contest because my team just died. Like, I mean, I guess I should flip it, but I felt like Baron would be the one to, like, if we lose Baron, we definitely lose. I felt, but I mean,
Elder
is Elder
is
that
more important than Baron?
Is it? Okay.
It's so, like, think about it this way: your teammates are idiots. They're going to fight a lot. Elder makes it basically impossible to win fights unless the enemy team is horseshit, which I guess they are, but still. It's very, very, very hard to ever win a fight against Elder. So them getting Elder means that you cannot fight them for 2 minutes without your entire team exploding, which is probably what's about to happen. And they can utilize this to get Elder, because they win, or to get Baron rather, because they win the fight for free at Baron. But they're really bad, so like the game just keeps stalling out. And maybe this is just how it goes in low elo, but yeah, no, Elder is definitely more important than Baron, but they're both at this point nearly game-ending objectives. So losing either is kind of GG. And yeah, now we can see, eventually, our teammates' stupidity leads to them all dying, and if Elder just makes them all explode in a second, so yeah.
Alright, so Elder is, I gotta practice. I mean, I knew it was important, but I didn't think, I guess at the end game, it's like, this is better for team fighting, and then Baron's just better to push to end.
Yeah, so like, if you're, again, if we're assuming the people know what they're doing, the typical thing at 18 minutes, you're fighting the Elder. The winner of the Elder fight, unless they team wipe, will probably use Elder to get Baron, and then they have both, and then they end through that. But if you get Baron, Baron takes away your resistances when you're hitting it, so the team doing Baron has a natural disadvantage, and it does way more damage to you. So it's way more risky, because you're way more likely to die if you start it, which is why Elder, for 1, is better to do. And then 2, doing Elder doesn't mean you get, or doing Baron doesn't mean you get Elder, but doing Elder means you get Baron, because you can fight way better, obviously, if you have Elder to get Baron, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, 100%. Okay. No, that helps. So, I mean, prioritizing Herald early game, and then Elder over Baron. Obviously, Elder leads to Baron.
Yeah.
Late game. Yeah.
Like, the main things I'm going to be writing down is objective timings in general, because when the objectives are spawning, you're not aware. Like, you should be noting it like a minute to 30 seconds before. Like, I'm going to talk more about building specific habits. Like, the way I go about improving, I pretty much go into a game with 2 to 4 things in my mind that I'm specifically thinking about trying to work on, and the rest of the things I just rely on my, like, instincts and habits to do, you know? So for you, like, I'm going to want you to go into every single game. I'm going to want you to pay very close attention to the clock. As soon as the clock hits 4:30, you're immediately deciding which objective you're going to go for, which is almost always going to be Herald. So you're setting up for that, making sure that at 5 minutes, barring anything crazy where you can get a ton of kills or whatever, you're going to the Herald, you're pinging your team by 4:30 that you want to go Herald, so they're aware. Maybe they won't listen, but sometimes they will. It'll help a little bit. Same with other objectives. As soon as the second dragon's spawning, you're aware of that because we gave up the first one, so we want to get the second one. But again, in this elo, a nice thing about that is when you get that Herald, a lot of times, just like you did in this game, where you didn't get it till 540, enemy's not going to get the dragon right away. So you might be able to get Herald, drop it mid, and then go towards dragon in some scenarios. Not all of them, but sometimes. And then you can get both, and you don't even have to worry about that. And then, yeah, using Elder to get Baron at the end of the game, and realizing that if you lose the Elder, almost always you will lose the game. Sometimes it gets sold out because of they don't know how to end in this elo and they don't actually use the Baron or the Elder to get the Baron, but yeah, definitely a good Herald to build. So yeah, we can either do a live game or another replay. That's up to you.
Let's do another replay, just and then I'll kind of work on like what you mentioned for a week, and then maybe we could do the live next week.
Sounds good.
All right.
So have you been playing some mid recently?
Yeah, some mid TF. Just playing, learning a little bit. It's weird. Like Wild Rift's slightly different than League. Obviously, like some of the fundamentals you learn in League like don't apply just because the map's so short.
Yeah,
like,
the game's way quicker too. Yeah.
Right. You can't punt it. Like you can't just freeze a wave indefinitely. Like when you play top and different stuff. All right, so I'll pick one. I don't want one where I won too good. Let's try this one just to see, because I know like when I win too, sometimes it doesn't. Like I feel lost at some point, so I know there's improvement.
So again here, like I don't really. It's pretty hard to kill Volibear, so I don't really want to gank top. So I'd rather be bot side, or actually, well, your dual lane's top side. So I'd rather probably start blue side, clear 3 camps, go for a top gank if I can, or go for a mid gank depending on what seems to work out, and then go for the bottom side scuttle probably after. Depends on scuttle based on how the game goes, but yeah, I'd probably want to start top side here and then look for a gank. But at the same time, if you honestly want to, you can start red side every single game and just look for a mid gank or bot gank. And like, if you want really consistent pathing, doesn't really matter too much.
Okay.
But yeah.
Now here you said to put a control ward here. Do you think this ward placement's bad?
No,
Do you think
you should place it in the bush? Yeah, where you're kind of looking, that bush. Yeah.
Okay.
But typically, like I would say, you should probably be starting. Also, you used your smite at a weird time. You should use your smite as soon as it hits 600, instead of like when it was at like 400. But you see the bush right like at the blue buff. That's where you control ward if you're going red side first.
Okay. Right here. Right.
Yeah. And yeah, honestly, I would probably start red side more often than blue side if I don't have like a particular favor of like which one I prefer. But also most junglers typically start red side and then go towards blue side, so they usually end up on their blue side scuttle. Meaning if you want to fight them, then you want to match that. So you want to, if they start red side, you want to start your blue side so that you're on the same like side of the map as them, and vice versa. If you want to avoid them, then you start red side if you think they will start red side. And you can kind of just assume they'll start red side, and it won't always work out, but it'll work out more often than it won't.
Okay.
Like Camille, you want to fight early. She's not super strong early, but you also have a way better clear than her. And so again here, like I don't mind you looking for this since she does overextend. Typically I would say it'd be better to just farm, but like in this specific scenario she was pushing up pretty far. But now you should be thinking, Camille just died, I have a ton of free time, and yeah, ideally you know that Camille has really shit clear speed, so she could have probably max cleared 3 camps. So you can look at the gold to actually do the math to figure it out. Like you can just do it in relation to your gold. So if you're like, I cleared 3 camps and I have 1300 gold, if she has 1450, she probably did 4 camps, right? Because that's 150 extra. You can try to do that math if you want. You don't have to, but it's a little helpful. And then because she has such slow clear speed, I would immediately go bot scuttle like you do here, because you can probably get both scuttles and get a little extra gold on her. You could even, because of the elo you're in, maybe look for that blue buff if she wasn't on it, since you have your flash. So worst case scenario, you'll flash out. I wouldn't try to invade once you see her though. You do. I don't love this. I definitely prefer just focusing on the farm, because this leads to possibly a kill, but it's there's like a lot of random things that happen in this elo, so I just don't like flipping early fights like that where it's kind of in their jungle. But it worked out for you, so I can't really fault you for it.
Right, but no, I see what you're saying. It's inconsistent.
Yeah, it's just I'd prefer to farm my stuff and then do that. And it, like you see here, you actually lost a smite now, so it's like this is what happens a lot. You lose this smite. Say that it wasn't a Camille and it was someone stronger early game, you'd be kind of fucked. And yeah, like they're really bad. If you definitely should have been punished for this, but yeah.
Right, right. No, for sure I should have died there. And lost a lot of time.
And you see how you have 6 camps. You should basically never have 6 camps, like on your side.
Right.
You should always probably have 2 or less, unless like you're just fought an objective or something like that. So.
Now, say Camille's not here. Say I see her, like she shows she's ganking the dual lane, and I have camps up. Is it more efficient to invade her and then fall back to my camps?
Yeah, if it's convenient to invade and you know she's not there and your mid laner is not getting like destroyed so bad that you have no prio, you know what prio is, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so as long as like you're not like losing prio super hard and whatever in your lanes and the Camille's on their side, then it's infinitely more efficient to invade her because obviously she loses that camp. So definitely, yeah, you can look for invades in scenarios like that, 100%.
Okay.
But yeah, just efficiency again. Like we have 4 camps up and they've been up forever, and we're looking for a gank on someone pushed under their tower who has a dash as well, so he can dash this. And yeah, we don't exactly. Kind of wasting time. Probably just going to be a lot of the same mistakes as the previous game, I'm assuming. So.
Yeah, I've been playing pretty much the same playstyle with them.
And
so
that's how jungle kind of is. It's why it's like, it's the role I do best on, but it's also like I get bored because it's a super, like there's super linear decision making. You're doing the same thing pretty much every game. If you want to be consistent in solo queue, you have to kind of do that repetition, so that's good. There's just a few of the different habits that we'll have to build. Like again, you're probably gonna walk dragon. We should be walking Herald here, but yeah. Well, it looks like maybe you do. Nice. That's a W.
Yeah, I don't know why too, because it looks like it looks well. They got prio, right? Like they're there. So I don't know. Like sometimes even if solo lane has prio, I'll ping Herald. They won't come. I don't know if I pinged it this game, but
yeah,
you see like the dual lane.
Sometimes they won't come, and like that's an understandable reason. And the one time that I think it's okay to go, or the 2 times I think it's okay to go drag is if your top laner is getting stomped, like I said. And secondly, is if you are ahead enough where you know you're gonna win a fight, and you just want to use it as a means to fight and like bait them into fighting, because a lot of times the enemy will just try to fight it for you. But
right.
yeah, no, going the Herald, because if you actually get that dragon and you just have no fight, nothing happens. You get, I think it's 3% armor or whatever. At this point in the game, you have like 60 to 100 armor. You're building tanks, so maybe you have like 100. So you get 3 extra armor. Nobody cares about that. That does nothing like whatsoever. And say that you die at Herald, but you're a nunu, so you smite better than anyone else because of your Q. So assume that you die, but you get the Herald. Your death is 300 gold, and maybe you lose time, so let's say you lose 500 gold because you lose some farming time. Dropping Herald does 50 times your level plus 2,000, so it would do 2,400 right now. That's 4 plates. That's 150 times 4, that's 600 gold already. A lot of times you're also going to break the turret, so you're probably getting closer to over 1,000 gold, plus you're putting pressure in your lane, helping your laner out. So many different things, where even if you die, if you get that smite, it's already more valuable. And because you're nunu, you're going to get that smite a lot. And a lot of times you'll win the fight anyway. And a lot of times they won't contest you because most people think dragons are better. So yeah.
Oh, makes sense.
Again, like even now, you should be running to your red buff, not clearing a lane. Before 730, by the way, you get less gold. Like you see how you got 24 gold from that. And you got 12 gold from that. At 730, you start getting normal amounts of gold for lane minions. And yeah, like I said, I'll write down some of these types of things and I'll upload this video to YouTube later so you can rewatch it, but yeah.
So where do you think I should drop Herald here? Man, this looks
nearly always mid. So first of all, wait, how long have we had Herald?
We got Herald and I dicked around in
yeah, okay, so
for a while.
Plates drop at 730. So Herald kind of sucks after 730 because the plates are half of the value, if not more than half, from Herald. So you should always drop it before 730 if you can.
Okay.
the priority then after that of where we drop it is basically goes like this. So you want to break mid turret if you can, because it gives you access to the whole map. So if you can ever drop it mid, that's probably best. And there's like a few scenarios where I wouldn't drop it mid. The first scenario is if the mid turret's already like lower than 1200, because then we're not getting very many plates from that. So we're not going to get a ton of gold. So you just drop it in another lane that has like 3000 to 2400 health so that you can get more plates. And then the other time is, say your top laner is like pretty far ahead and the rest of your team kind of sucks, or say your bot lane is pretty far ahead and the rest of your team kind of sucks. You drop it in their lane to help them get ahead and to snowball their lane and play around your strong people, because you don't want to play around your shitters. You only want to play around the people who actually know what they're doing. So yeah, apart from that, if you don't know where to drop it mid, but there's a couple other scenarios where you might not want to.
Gotcha.
Turret lost.
And then here, like, we don't really know Camille. You're just kind of, or where she is, you're just kind of hoping she's not here. Which is not the end of the world since you have flash, so I don't really mind it. But no one was really there to help you, so... I mean, honestly, it's probably a good play. I would probably do the same thing, but...
I mean, on tank Nunu, I go a little...
Yeah, you have ult, you have flash, you're probably not gonna die. It's probably fine.
Yeah, if they like all rotate and they have CC, it's pretty bad, but usually I can be a little...
Yeah.
kind of bit.
And then this is like the time where I like that you're looking for a fight rather than farming, because the objective's about to spawn. So you just go through mid with your snowball. That's what you should be doing. That's when you should be doing those types of random plays, looking for kills instead of farming your camps that are spawning, because you're not going to spend the gold that you farm before you fight dragons. So that is when you should be doing stuff like what you just did. But your camps, if you did play more efficiently, wouldn't be up, obviously, but still, yeah.
Right. The only time you would farm like maybe 30 seconds before is if you need an like you're close to an item that you want for the fight.
Or if it's like a red or blue buff because you want the buffs if you can. But yeah.
Okay.
And it depends, because like if you have nothing to do and you have 30 seconds, you have time to take a camp. Like, so you might as well on your way take it. But it's more of a convenience thing, unless, yeah, you're going to get an item or you can get that buff. But you don't need to over prioritize the buffs. Like if your red buff is on the opposite side of the dragon and dragon's up in 10 seconds, don't go for your red buff. But like if it's 30 seconds and you're coming out of base, you can grab the red before you go on to the drag or something.
Okay.
And yeah, we have 2 dragons here, so now it actually, like, we want the 3rd dragon because of soul. So yeah, if you have, like, if you get the 1st dragon, if you just happen to, it's good to prioritize it. I mean, we pretty much always want to prioritize 2nd dragon, because either we have 1st dragon and we want 2nd so we can get 3rd and get soul, or they have 1st and we want to deny 2nd so they can't get soul. But if you're ever in a scenario where each team has 1 dragon and the 3rd dragon is spawning, that dragon is just as useless as the 1st one. So what you can do instead, say you're losing the game, and you know like how turret bounties work, right? So you can just ping your team, attack turret on the opposite side of the map, like 30 seconds before this objective spawning. Start pushing that wave, try to go for that turret, because they'll probably send multiple people to the dragon. You can have an odd man advantage on the fight, probably even turret dive at that late in the game. Take the gold bounty on the turret, take their camps on the other side of the map, all that type of stuff, and then catch up very, very significantly. Like, I've had many games where I'm down like 5k gold, but we each have a dragon, I go opposite side of the map, and all of a sudden we're pretty much even gold by the end of that whole sequence.
Nice.
And then yeah, here is where we're changing our mindset to helping our team more than farming. Since you haven't been farming much, you're not that strong, but if you were farming a lot, we'd be very strong, and then we'd be able to fight here since the Baron is spawning now, and we're not worried about anything like that. But your team is still ahead, so it probably still works out.
Yeah, I think we're 4k up. Not
And that is
much.
another reason why, again, I don't really play nunu, so I'm not like confident in the statement, but I would a lot of times in lower elos want to be building Rod of Ages first, because we're often not fighting that much early because we're farming and going for Herald and prioritizing gold. So like that extra gold makes it easier to carry on Rod of Ages, and it scales really well. Yeah, it's not like something I'm super confident in making, but that's probably what I would be doing. in lower elo.
Yeah,
So
I tested a bunch today. I tested Rod Age's first item, Nunu,
yeah,
and then it's the full tank after it. It's I mean, you do a little more damage. You're not as tanky. You will be once it fully scales up.
yeah, yeah.
But I think I'm gonna take it, especially if I'm ahead. I think it's smarter just to do a little more damage and
Well, I mean, the thing is, if you're ahead, you don't really want to build it once you find out you're ahead, because you're not going to build an AP item first, like a amplifying tome, so then you're just wasting kind of gold, and it takes forever to stack up. So if you're not deciding at the start of the game to build it, I don't know if I'd really recommend it. Maybe if it's like really early on, but yeah, I don't know.
yeah, you kind of got to build into it at the beginning.
But yeah, that's up to you. Like, going full tank, perfectly fine. I don't have a problem with it. It's just a thought that I might do. You can always go full AP if you like happen to be into a lot of squishies and say your team already has a tank or two, so you might want to like become at least aware of how to play that build and whatever, but I'm sure you can get away with just playing tank every game as well. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. I've been I started off playing AP Nunu in the beginning, and I'll do it once in a while.
Yeah,
I
it's also more
found like
fun to be honest, so
it is, but I just found 90% of the rank games is there's no tank at all.
yeah, whenever you don't have a tank, definitely better to go tank, I think.
Spawn.
You usually are on the objectives pretty quick though, it looks like, but unfortunately we ran away from it here. We could have just done it, because they're on the opposite side of the map. Facing Volleybear, he's probably not going to die anyway.
Yeah, and I feel like if we push this lane in, they have to kind of spawn to it, and then we fall back to drag. But I guess it really doesn't take
It
any
doesn't
time.
really, yeah, it doesn't take long, and it doesn't actually do anything, because yeah, waves are way smaller in this game, like 4 minions.
Yeah, that's true. I gotta stop thinking like League.
Yeah. I mean, there's some similarities. Like I've never played League, but I watched it for like 5 years because I just liked the game, and it made it a lot easier to start playing the game. But there's also a lot of things that, yeah, like even calendar PC players who come to this game, it takes them time to adjust to like a few small things. But it is a lot of transferable knowledge as well.
Yeah. I mean, like the fundamentals transfer, I feel like, but some of the concepts don't. 100%.
Yeah. Also, like random champs can play jungle that can't in PC or something. Like every fucking champ can play jungle, I swear.
Yeah, it's retarded right now. I was playing a little bit of Pike jungle earlier. It's kind of bad, but
yeah, it's not great, but it works. I mean, my friend is like the best Pike in NA. He plays it sometimes if he's autofill.
Yeah, it's he can't clear, but if you can gank a lot early and just snowball from there, it's fun.
I mean, like even here, you're walking up, but your entire team's nowhere near. You might as well have just taken your red. Like at this point in the game, you don't need to take all 3 camps, but you might as well grab the red buff.
Right. Okay.
And again, the conservation thing will mean that I'm guessing you probably get an extra 100 plus gold from it at this point, since you don't farm too often.
Yeah, I feel like at this point in the game too, like if there's no objective, it's kind of, I don't know if this is considered late game in Wild Rift.
This is definitely late game.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know what to do because like in League, at least people are like you'd group mid. If there's no objective, you group mid, and if you have like a good split pusher.
If there's no objective, it depends on the time for when the next one's spawning, because once you're in like the 15 to 18 minute range, 18 minutes is when Elder spawns, your death timers are roughly 45 seconds. So basically, if an objective is going to spawn in a minute, even if my team dies, they'll be alive for the objective, so I don't actually care, so I can keep farming. But if there's like 30 seconds and my team is being kind of stupid, I gotta try to help them not die, because if they die, we lose Baron or Elder or whatever. So that's mainly how I'd make the decision.
Now, if we're pretty far ahead right now, 10k gold. So say my team dies right before Elder, and the whole enemy team's on Elder, and I'm the only one up. Do you recommend when we're super far ahead to flip it?
It depends what's going on. If you have vision of it, or it's like pretty easy to access, like on the bottom side, if Elder's on the bottom side, it's way easier to get to than if it's on the top side, then you can probably try to flip it. But what you should kind of anticipate is trying to stall the game until the Elder is gone. If you click on your scoreboard when you're in the game, at when the next elder is spawning at, I think it's 2 minutes, once it says that the next elder spawns in 2 minutes, that's when their elder ends. So your goal is basically to get that to 2 minutes. So you want to push the wave so they can't end. So ideally, say that your top wave is pushing and they're on bottom side getting the elder. You would just push the top wave as far as possible until you see the thing elder has been slain. Then you maybe push one more wave and recall. So yeah, your goal is just stalling at that point. So you might want to just push mid wave or push whatever wave so they can't end right off that. But if it looks like you have vision and you might be able to flip it, then you can try to, basically.
Gotcha. Yeah, so I guess very similar mistakes between the two games, just efficiency and
Yeah, do you want me to write out some basic notes, or what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if you upload it to YouTube and you put it in the description or whatever, however you want to deliver it, I think that'd be great.
Okay,
and
then
then
I'll
I
just
can
write the
kind of
notes
review.
after. I'll just send you them in the DM after.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm gonna review the video a few times and kind of digest all the information, try to put it into practice, probably rewatch the video a couple times, and then we meet next week. Maybe we do a live coaching and see what I still need to improve on. Or
I think we shouldn't set a specific time on when we do it. We should do it once you feel like you've built the habits of what I told you. So once the notes that I write, because I'm not going to write everything, I'm going to write the things that I actually want you to think about while you're in games. And maybe I'll write like 5 to 10 things. If I write 5 to 10, choose however many you know that you're capable of thinking about in the same game. For example, if it's an early game thing, you can think of an early game thing and then also a late game one, because those don't conflict, right? Like, you can think about them both in the same game. So however many habits you think you can build, and once you think you build at least a couple of them, hopefully all of the ones I write down, then come back to me. So even if it's 2 weeks, even some month, I don't care how long, but you might as well get the most value out of it by implementing as much as you've learned so far,
Yeah. No, makes sense.
All right, I think that's it then, unless you have anything else that you want to talk about.
No, I appreciate your time though.
Cool. All right, see you later.
All right, man. Thanks.
Oh, well, I might as well just record myself writing the notes for him. He's not here, but I'm still just going to write them the same way I always would. So we'll start with 1 is just efficiency. I don't know how to spell efficiency, man. There we go. Efficiency in jungle, farm, or ganking. Less gank is very free. Oh, I don't remember how to. Okay, I'm gonna write them here, guys. My bad. I don't know how to. Like when I click enter, you guys don't care. It doesn't matter. All right. So we'll start with this. That's the first one. Secondly, prioritize. Go for Herald, basically always, instead of Dragon. I randomly turned on caps lock. Holy shit, I cannot type. All right, instead of Dragon. What is 3? So we talked about Herald, talked about efficiency in jungle. Pay attention to what do we call them? To objectives, timers. 30 sec before objective. Start preparing. All right. What's after that? Probably write like a couple more down. What else are we thinking? At 18 minutes, prioritize Elder over Baron. Once you have Baron, once you have Elder, use that to get Baron. Then use Elder to get Baron, then endgame. What's after that? I have to change by the end. That's fine. Okay, so 18 minutes, prioritize Elder over Baron. What else did we talk about? Early pathing, early game pathing. Make sure to control toward opposite side of your starting side. Early game, look for level 3 gank, then go scuttle, then farm other side of map, and repeat a similar cycle until the Herald is spawning. Make sure to deny 3 dragons by getting at least 1. Okay, these are probably the main 7 things